Hola amigos, this is Omvir and welcome back to CodePipe. In today's video, we will try to make an weather app using JavaScript. The key takeaways from the video will be how to get information using APIs and how do we work with async functions that are asynchronous functions. First of all, let's see what we are going to achieve. This is our final product. If we try to search for any city, let's say New York, it should give weather information about that city. Let's see, and it is giving us the date, city and the country, weather information. Also we have this feature of getting weather data of my location. So if I click on my location, it should give the location of where I am currently. I'm currently in Hyderabad, so it is giving me the weather information of Hyderabad. Now let's see the coding part. In our VS Code, I have this folder open. So I will make a new HTML file here that will be index.html. I will create a basic HTML file, name this weather app. Inside the body, I will have a heading. After that, I will have a paragraph tag to show the error text. Then I will have two divisions, one for the widget and the second one for the complete weather information. The heading and array text will look something like this. For the widget division, I will have this code where I'm using class to identify this and use this in JavaScript file. Then I'm giving one input that will take our city input. Then I'm using two buttons, search and my location. For the main weather card division, I will be copying a direct HTML file from internet because in this video we are trying to learn JavaScript and not HTML. So I have taken this HTML code from this website, that is blog.avada.io. I will provide the link in the description. So this is the file that I have copied with some modifications obviously. Now once I have the HTML and CSS from this, I will copy this into my main HTML file. Now our main weather card division will look something like this. So first of all, I have the main division where I'm keeping some classes, and first of all I'm keeping it hidden, and then basically I'm providing all the classes to all the divisions so that I can capture them. So this is how the HTML file will look like. Now let's make a style.css, and again I will be copying some style from internet from the same blog that I have shown right now, and some custom styling. It will look something like this. Again, I'm not getting into the details of the style to make the video shorter. Now before making the script.js file, let me make a file that will be logic.txt. Here we will try to put all the logic that we want to create so that we do have a clear understanding of what we want to achieve. The logic will look something like this. First of all, we are getting an HTML weather card from a blog. Then we need to get a weather API from where we can get the weather of any city, and I'm using openweathermap.org for this. Then I'm using asynchronous functions to use promise in order to get weather information from this API. Now we can stop our project here only, but as a bonus, if you want, we can also add the feature of reverse geolocation, which will use our coordinates to get us the city and the weather information for that city. So for the reverse weather API, I'm using locationiq.com. Now let's make the file script.js. First of all, we will use strict so that we don't use any undeclared variables accidentally. Also, to understand the setup that I'm using in my VS Code, there will be a video on the top right corner as a card. Please have a look at that. In that video, I have shown all the extensions, settings that I've used in my VS Code for JavaScript programming. That being said, first of all, in my index.html, I will link both my JavaScript and my style file. I will use autocomplete feature for CSS. I'm using style.css, so I will keep it as it is. For the script, I will use script.js, and also I will use differ here so that my script file is loaded along with the HTML file. Let's save this and dive into the script.js logic. First of all, I will declare all the variables that I will need, which will look something like this. Let me close this bar here. We can use live server using Alt L Alt O. Live server is a extension that I'm using. As of now, this is what our page looks like. If we search for anything, let's say New York again, it won't search anything. So let's start coding for this. After we initiated all the variables that we are going to need, first of all, we will add one event listener to this search button. Upon its click, it will get this value, and we are going to define a function that will use the API to fetch information about this city. So the event listener will look something like this. We have the search button from query selector, and we are adding an event listener that will be on click. We are using one variable of city query that will be city input dot value, which will be this text here. We are using a function here to get weather information, that is get city weather. So let's define this function. The function will look something like this. We are using a async function here, and we are using an input. This input will be the city name that we are going to search. And first of all, we will make the error text as blank, that will be on top of this. After this, it's time to use the API. For weather information, we are using openweathermap.org. After signing up to this, we can go to this drop down and we can see my API keys. This API key is by default given to everyone. If it is not listed here, we can create a new key. Now, how do we get the weather information? For that, if we go to this API, we can see that we can get different types of information about weather, like weather data for 4 days, weather data for 16 days, and etc. But we are interested in current weather data. So if we go to API doc here we can see what API we have to use. So we are going to use this API because we are only using city name. So I will copy this. In my function, I will use try and catch block, and here I will make a base URL that will be in string literals. I will paste this, and inside this city name I will put input that we are getting, and in place of this API key I will use weather API. I have defined this on top of my script that we have seen in our website. This is the same API key that we have seen in openweathermap.org. Now we have our API URL ready. Now what we need to do is we need to fetch it. We can fetch it using this. We are using await here because we want to fetch this URL asynchronously, and we are saving the data in this data variable. Now this API call will return us with a status. That status will be related to HTTP like 200, 400, etc. If the status is 404, I will throw a new error that will say invalid city. If there is no error, let's see how the data will look like. So let me console log data here, and if we put anything here, New York, and let's say search, and if we open our inspect tools console, it says missing catch. So let's put our catch before we go any further. Here I will log the error that we will get, and let's put error here. Now let's try again. We say New York, and let's see what data we are going to get. It says base is not defined, and it is our mistake. So we need to put const here. Now let's try again. If we search, again it says 404 not found, and the reason behind this is maybe we forgot to use this HTTP. So if I put HTTP here, this should work. Let's try again, search, and here we are getting some response. The response will look something like this. It has all the information about body, headers, and etc. It means our API is connecting. So here we will await data.json. This will give the correct information about our weather app. So let's console this now. Let's search for it again. And here if we check, here we have all the information about the location and its weather. And we can use all this information to get different stuffs like country, humidity, etc. To check what all information we need, we will remove the hidden class from our widget. So if we search for New York again, we can see that our card is now visible, and this is the default information that is available on the card. Now I will replace all this information from information that we are receiving from the API. For that, I will use this code. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me always show the card so that we can see how we are replacing information. In our index.html, I will remove this hidden class. Now we have the card always visible in our script. For the text content, that will be this one. I'm using the information that I'm getting from this JSON dot name and the country. For the Celsius, convert Kelvin is a simple function that will convert the Kelvin into Celsius. This will look something like this. We are getting temperature from our response and we are converting it into Celsius. And we are using math.floor so that we are getting the whole number or the integer and not the decimal points. Then for the weather info, which will be below this icon, I'm using this from the response to get weather info. This will be clear once we see the response again. So if we go for New York and if we go for search, in the response, first of all, we are using the name, and the name here is, we can see New York, and then response.system country. If we go for system, which is here, and in the country it is US. So we are getting New York, US. Then we have Celsius text content, which is this one. For that, I'm using that.main temp. So inside this main, we have this temperature, which is in Kelvin, So I'm using the convert Kelvin to convert into Celsius, and this is what we are getting. And finally, for the weather info, which is this broken clouds, we are using weather and description. So if we check for weather, which is right here, and if we see the description, it is broken clouds, which is replaced here. After this, we need to change the date and the icon. So for the date, above this function, I will use this date options and I will create a new date for today. And then we can put this date into this section. For that, we can use it above the try section. This will look something like this. And for the icon, we also get information in our response. So if we search for any city in our response, we are looking for weather. And inside this, we should have a icon information, that will be icon this. So we will use this information, and in our open weather map we have a URL. Using that we can use this icon, so that will look something like this. The icon code we are getting from our response, and the icon URL will look something like this, where we are using the icon code. And then I'm using this source in our wicon.src, which is this one. Let's save this and run it again. New York. If we search, we are getting today's date, New York, new icon, all the weather information and Celsius information. Now in the error part, I will remove this console log, and what I'm doing is I am hiding this card here, and I'm putting the error message in the error block on the top of this widget. So let me go to my index.html and hide the main widget again using hidden class. And if we search for Hyderabad, we are getting the information about Hyderabad. Let's try to see how the error will look like. Let me search for any keyword. If we go for search, it says invalid city. So we are also able to handle the error correctly. At this point, we are able to search any city and get its weather information. Now let's see how we can use this my location to get the location where we are currently present at and its weather information. For that, I will be using location IQ for reverse geolocation. Inside this, if we log in and if we go to products, that is geocoding, and if we scroll down, we have this reverse geocoding. If we see the demo, the API URL will look something like this. If we click on anything on the map, we already have our key here, and we will also get latitude and longitude. We will copy this. If we scroll down, we can also see the response that we will get. So this will also help us in forming the information. So let's start coding for this. Below our event listener for search button, I will create an event listener for this my location. Once we click on this, we will get the latitude and longitude. We will use that latitude and longitude to get the city or town in which we are currently present at using location IQ. Once we have the town, we will use this same function to get weather information about that city. The event listener will look something like this. I am calling this search self. Inside this function, we have this navigator.geolocation.getCurrentPosition. It will give us the latitude and longitude of our location, and we will make this city input as blank. Then we will send this latitude and longitude into our reverse geo function, and that reverse geo function will look something like this. Again, we are using the async function here, and we are passing latitude and longitude. The URL will look something like this, that we have seen just now in the website. For reverse geo API on our location IQ website, if we go to dashboard and if we go for API access tokens, we will get our token from here or the API key. Again, I have declared this on the top, and we are getting latitude and longitude from our navigator. Once we have this URL, I will again use the same concept that I have used in the above function to get the response and to get the response.json. Let me remove this console log and let us see how the data will look like. So if I click on my location, it will ask for our location. Let's allow this. We are getting two things here. So let me comment out this for now. Let me click on my location again, and we can see the response we are getting. Here we are getting our current location. So it will give us the address, bounding box, latitude, longitude, and some other variables. But we are interested in address. So if we go to address, we will get all the information like city, country, country code, house, neighborhood, road, etc. I will take this data.address.city from our response, and I'm sending this town or city to my get city weather, which is on the top. Then we will be using async function again to get all the weather information and replace information in the main widget card. So finally, if we click on my location, it will give us the reverse geolocation response. After that, it will give us the weather information on that city. So if we see we are in Hyderabad and the weather information. Finally, we can say that we are able to search a city and get its weather information. Also, we are able to get weather information for our current address. With this, I conclude my video here, and I hope some of the information was useful for you. If it was useful and you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Share it with your friends. And if you are coming on the channel for the first time, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to push the notification bell to not miss out any videos. We will meet very soon with a new video. Until then, this is Somvir taking your leave. Adios.